Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Shauki Al-Hadi bin Mat Saufi from class RSR111 today. Would like to present the exercise that I had choose, which is push-ups. Push-ups are common calisthenics exercise that starts in the prone position and progresses to the standing position. Push-ups work to pectoral muscle, triceps and anterior deltoids, as well as the remainder of the deltoids, serratus anterior, coracobrachialis, and the core by elevating and lowering the body with the arms. Push-ups are basic activity that is extensively employed in civilian sports, training and physical education, as well as military physical training. They are also common form of punishment used in the military, school sport and some martial arts disciplines. There are many muscle work in this exercise, such as pectoralis major, anterior deltoids, chest muscle, tricep brachii, forearms, bicep brachii, and joints and tendons. The target muscle, often known as the prime mover muscle, is the purpose for choosing a certain exercise. The pectoralis major or pecs is the agonist in the push-ups. Pecs are the muscle in the chest. As we lower yourself toward the floor, the pecs lengthen and control the speed of your descent. As we push back up again, they shorten. The lowering and lengthening phase of the exercise is called an eccentric contraction, while the lifting and shortening phase is called a concentric contraction. Across joints, muscles are placed in opposing pairs. When one muscle in a pair contracts, the other muscle must relax in order for movement to occur. This is called reciprocal inhibition. The antagonist is the muscle that opposes the agonist. In push-ups, there are several of antagonists, but the main ones are the middle fibers of the trapezius muscle, the posterior deltoids, and the rhomboids. While the muscle providing most of the effort in each exercise can be identified, there are frequently other muscles participating. These helper muscles are commonly referred to as synergies. These muscles are significant because they assist the agonist even though they are not exercise target muscle. The tricep and anterior deltoids or front shoulder muscles are the main synergies in this push-up. They'll help with shoulder flexion and elbow extension respectively. During contraction, one end of the muscle is usually fixed in place while the other end moves. The origin is the attachment site that does not move when the muscle contracts, whereas the incision is the attachment site that does move. The incision is usually distal or further away, while the origin is proximal or closer to the body. Relative to the incision, in this exercise, the incision muscle is bicep brachii. During the push-up exercise, the short head of the bicep brachii muscle acts as a dynamic stabilizer. This means the muscle activates at both ends. After that, the origin of this exercise is one part is attached to your clavicle, which is collarbone, while the other is attached to your upper costal cartilage, like ribs, which are positioned in the middle of your chest. That's all for me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Afif bin Effendi and my part is plank exercise. The muscle involved. A plank exercise is the best exercise to strengthen your core and abdomen. This exercise strengthens your hips, lower back, spine, shoulder bones, pelvic, joints, bicep, deltoid, teres major and teres minor. The classification of muscle. Prime mover, its main agonist. The prime mover for this exercise is the abdomen, commonly called the belly. Is the body space between the thorax, chest and pelvis. The abdomen contains all the digestive organs, including the stomach, small and large intestines, pancreas, liver and gallbladder. The antagonist muscle involved in plank is hips. the joint between the thigh bone and the pelvis, also the area adjacent to this joint. The hip joint is a ball and socket joint. The round head of the femur rests in a cavity that allows free rotation the line. In plank exercise, abdomen is the major muscle target and the agonist. In an antagonist muscle pair, as one muscle contracts, the other muscle relax or lengthen. The muscle that is contracting is called the agonist, and the muscle that is relaxing or lengthened is called the antagonist, such as hips. The synergies. Synergies are very often involved during plank. Synergies are muscles that assist the prime mover in its role efficiently. The synergies that involved in this exercise are our abdomen and hips. For the origin and insertion, the origin is the attachment site that does not move when the muscle contracts, where the insertion is the attachment site that does move. The insertion is usually distal or further away, while the origin is proximal or closer to the body relative to the insertion. In this exercise, the insertion muscle is lower back. During the plank exercise, eccentric contraction in the bicep were detected.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Fakhrul Alif Hakimi bin Kamal Zaman. My matric number is 2020-855-172. And today I want to talk about lunges. In lunges, the targeted muscle are the glutes in your hip and butt, along with the hamstring and quadriceps in your thigh, the calf muscle in your lower legs, your abdominal muscle and your back muscle. For prime mover, the quadriceps are the key muscle involved in lunges. Four smaller muscle segments make up each quadriceps muscle, such as vastus medialis, lateralis, intermedius and rectus femoris. The vastus medialis is the quadriceps deeper section. Second is the vastus lateralis, is the quadriceps outmost section, extending from the top of each femur bone to patella adrenis. Third, the vastus intermedius is a quadriceps inner segment that is deep in the thigh and underneath the rectus femoris muscle. The vastus intermedius is a muscle that runs from the top of femur to knees. Lastly, the rectus femoris muscle, which runs from your pelvic bone to the base of your patella at each knee, is one of the quadriceps muscles. Next is agonist muscle. The glutes maximus, medius and minimus are the three muscles that make up this muscular group. The glutes maximus is the largest and most powerful of the glutes muscle. The gluteus medius and minimus form a partial opposition to the glute maximus. Instead of turning the leg outward, they turn inward. Abduction is a movement in which the leg rises straight to the side. And for synergies, the glutes maximus is in butt top, the abductor magnus in the hip, and the soleus muscle in calf are synergistic muscles that aid in movement. The muscle exercise shift from predominantly targeting the quadriceps to mostly targeting the glute maximus when step out further and conduct long lunges or even lunges. Lastly, the origin and insertion. The muscle length change data was paired with electromyography of the lateral hamstring, rectus femoris, and lateral gastrocnemius to determine when isometric, concentric, and eccentric activation occur during the lunge. During the lunges, eccentric contraction is the quadriceps and gastrocnemius were detected. That's all for me. Thank you.
Today, I'm gonna present about pull-up exercises. Firstly, the muscles that involved in this exercise are latissimus dorsi, biceps, trapezius, deltoids, pecs muscle, teres major, infraspinatus, and teres minor. Next, the classification of muscles. Firstly, we got prime mover agonist. The prime mover, also known as agonist for this exercise, is the latissimus dorsi. A big triangular shaped posterior muscles arises from the lower spine, the final four ribs, and the inferior angle of the scapula. After spiraling around teres major, the muscle enters into the intertubercular groove of the humerus. The latissimus dorsi may now extend, attach, and rotate the arm medially. As it contributes in elevating the rib cage, the latissimus dorsi aids in forced expiration and deep inspiration. Next, we got antagonist. The main antagonist muscles when you are doing this pull-up exercise are pectoral muscles. The antagonist muscles responsible for lowering your body are the pectoral muscles in your chest, because you must bend your elbows during the pull-up. The biceps also act as an agonist muscle, while the triceps act as an antagonist muscle. Lastly, synergies. Synergies are muscles that aid in the execution of the lift, but are not the primary focus. The latissimus dorsi is supported by the biceps, deltoids, rhomboids, trapezi, and a variety of other minor muscles in the back and arms, allowing you to execute a full pull-up. The pull-up is a calisthenic upper body exercise that primarily targets the latissimus dorsi and bicep muscles, as well as few other muscles in the stomach. It is regarded as the gold standard for back exercises for body weight. The pull-up is performed with a pronated or overhand grip as opposed to the chin-up, which is performed with a supinated grip. Other than that, we got organ and insertion. A muscle organ also refers to where a muscle attached to a more solid bone. When you perform pull-ups, you are also working out your trapezius muscle. Vertical pulling action that activate this muscle are required to be laid. The trapezius together with your lats muscles are the major muscles that carry the weight when executing pull-up exercises. They are positioned in the center of your upper back. Insertion is the point of attachment of the muscle on the bone that move. On the other side, the insertion lies parallel to the middle part of the insertion of the pectoralis major on the wrist that forms the inner boundary of the bicipital groove of the humerus. The rhomboid and pectoralis minor are the two main muscles on the shoulder girdle. The rhomboid is located underneath the trapezius center.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Haziq Irfan Bishamsu from Group RSR 1112D. My metric number is 2020854854. Today I want to give explanation about one simple exercise that I very recommended, which is jump rope. Muscles that involve on jump rope are gastrocnemius, quadriceps femoris, hamstring, gluteus maximus, abdominal forearm, hands muscle, shoulders muscle, abdominal muscle, back muscle, calf and deltoid. Classification of muscle for prime mover is the prime mover for this exercise is quad, hamstring, gluteus and calf. Jump rope utilize the muscle in your lower body, and almost all the leg muscle are worked out when you jump rope. It involves 3 pace in each jump, which is load pace, flight pace and landing pace. It is like an elastic yo-yo spring. The gastrocnemius fiber flat virtually asymptotically while the facial collagen part length and shorter. especially the Achilles tendon. For antagonists, the antagonist muscle that involved during the exercise are a pair of quadricep and hamstring. When someone prepares to jump, their hamstring will contract to flex the knee while the quadricep length to allow the jump movement. The hamstring are the agonist and the quadricep are the antagonist. To make the pair work efficiently to extend the knee during recovery, the quadricep contract to extend while the hamstring length to facilitate the movement. The agonist is now the quadricep and the antagonist is now the hamstring. Meanwhile, for the synergies are very often involved during jump rope, as we know. Synergies are a muscle that assists the prime mover in its role efficiently. The synergies that are involved in the exercise are our quadricep and hamstring. Both of it assist the prime mover in knee flexion, which can help to extend range of motion and also knee extension in terms to physically extend your knee. The origin and insertion. The origin in jumping, quadricep function is to extend the knee vertically in the inner quadricep muscle that is important to stabilize the knee joint. The origin that involved is intertrochanteric line between the greater and lesser trochanter of the femur and the middle lip of the linear asperator of the femur. Meanwhile, for insertion, it originates from the upper section of the femoral shaft and connects to the quadricep femoris tendon, which connect to the upper border of the patella as the flattened tendon. The insertion of quadricep patella via the quadricep tendon and the tibial tuberosity via the patella tendon. It happens when the articulation when doing extend the lower knee or knee extension.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and my name is Muhammad Amir Azamuddin bin Azam Al-Yusri. So today I would like to share with you guys about the muscle that involved during burpee exercise. Burpees are a full body technique workout that focus on increasing muscle strength and endurance in both the lower and upper body. A basic burpee workout strengthens the muscle in your legs, hips, buttocks, abdomen, arms, chest, and shoulders. Alright, for the classification of muscle, prime mover agonist. Burpees are a high intensity compound exercise that works several muscle groups and joints at the same time. The pectoralis major is the primary muscle used during the burpees push-up phase. The triceps brachii and anterior deltoids are two other muscles that aid in the movement. These muscles are used as you tilt your feet back to a plank at the opening of the exercise, such as first, erector spinae will be made to extend the thoracic and lumbar spine. Second, to expand the hips, we'll be using the iliopsoas, tensor fasciae latae, and rectus femoris. Third, the quadriceps muscles are used to stretch the knees. Fourth, the gastrocnemius and soleus muscle of the calf muscle are used to achieve plantar flexion of the ankle. The following muscles are activated when you hold your feet back, which is rector abdominis and obliques, to flex the thoracic and lumbar spine. To flex the hips, it will be using your glutes, maximus, and hamstring. Last, knee flexion is aided by the hamstring. For the antagonist, several muscles, including the bicep brachii and quadricep, are recruited to help stabilize your joints and body, in addition to the muscle that cause the movement. During the exercise, muscles in your torso work to maintain your body straight, including erector spinae, rectus abdominis, and obliques. For the synergies, finally, when you jump back to a plank, during the jump part of the exercise, you are focusing on muscle in the lower body, hitting many of the same muscles that you target in the original phase. These are some of them where the erector spinae muscle are used to extend the thoracic and lumbar spine, using the glutes and hamstring. To extend the hips, extend the knees with the quadricep and plantar flexion of the ankle is achieved by using the gastrocnemius and soleus muscle. For the origin and insertion, origin, when you jump, your arms will swing up and extend above your head. The deltoids, pectoralis major, and bicep brachii are used to target motion in the shoulder and upper back, such as shoulder flexion and abduction, as well as moving the arms out and up. For the insertion, when you flex your shoulder with middle and upper trapezius muscle, as well as the levator scapula muscle in your upper back, work together to raise the scapula. The serratus anterior as well as the trapezius muscles are used in shoulder abduction and flexion to protract and rotate the scapula upward. Thank you very much, and that's all for me.